Welcome to the FRQ practice. Let's jump in. For each question, you are asked to state whether or not the transaction in the scenario would or would not be counted in GDP. If the transaction is counted, we have to determine which method of GDP calculation it would be included in and what category it would fall under. If it is not counted, we need to explain why. So, a consumer in Prestonia pays the rent to the owner of his apartment complex. This transaction would be counted in GDP. However, there are two potential answers to the second part of this question, depending on how you read it. If you look from the consumer's perspective, they're paying for a service, the use of the apartment as a living space. This would make it consumer spending on goods and services, and it would therefore be calculated using the expenditure approach. If, however, you looked at it from the perspective of the apartment complex owner, then it would be a form of income, rent in this case, which is income earned from allowing others to use either your natural resources or the rentable resources that you have. The government of Prestonia has built a new national museum. This counts in GDP because it's a form of government spending on a good or service. Therefore, we count it using the expenditure approach, which adds up spending in the economy. A consumer in Prestonia sells his used car to a consumer who lives in the neighboring country of Painland. This is not going to be counted in GDP, and the reason is it's a sale of a used good. Because used goods are counted the year they are made or sold, either as spending or inventory additions, they are not counted when they are resold, as nothing new has been made, and GDP is attempting to only calculate how many new things were made each year. Also, the ice cream truck just drove by my house, so if you heard that, I'm sorry. Or you're welcome, depending on how you feel about that. A household in Prestonia pays interest on repayment of their mortgage, their home loan, from the First Bank of Prestonia. So this would be counted in GDP. Now, before you say, but Miss Preston, you told us loan repayments don't count in GDP because it isn't something being produced or a service, it's just a money transfer. Yeah, I said that. And it's true. But look at that statement more closely. It says the family is paying interest on their mortgage. When an individual takes out a loan, the principal is the amount that they borrow from the bank. That's the money transfer part. When they repay the principal, that does not count in GDP because it's just transferring the money back to its original owner. However, interest payments are service payments given to the lender in exchange for allowing this person to use the financial resources. That means that interest payments on loans do count in GDP. But what category will they count under? Again, there's two potential answers here depending on how you look at the statement. If you look at it from the consumer's perspective, they're making a service payment. This means it's consumer spending under the expenditure approach. However, if you look at it from the lender's perspective, the payment is interest earned, making it a part of the income approach. Both of those answers are correct, and on the official FRQ that this came from, a prior AP test, they did list both of those as potential answers. Given the way this question is stated and the previous question that also had two answers, it starts by looking at the perspective of the household that's making the payment. So the more correct answer would be consumer spending, but they do give full credit for either of those answers. All right, that's it for the FRQ practice, guys. Have a great day.